YouTube, we are here tonight again. Archie Horror Story poem and lyrics. I had to come in my kitchen tonight because kids sleeping a little late. Have to do once again another tragic death in the world of rock and roll. Of course, last week Jeff from Slayer died, guitarist. And now this week we have the loss of Ray Manzarek, The Doors. Once again, it's just like losing a family member. No words can explain a loss of a legend. And I mean, this band, just like Slayer or Pantera or Randy Rhoads' death, any Ozzy, all them kinds of people that have passed away, that have put in a big impact in my life for music. The Doors was just as high as anyone else, and I feel like as if I lost an older brother. But to me, the Doors not only wrote superior music, lyrics, poetry, made, melodies that were just totally outrageous and insane. And, originality is one word you can explain of the Doors, originality. And to me, I'm sure I can speak for the Doors, the living members, of course, or any all four of them if they were, even if Jim was still alive. I'm sure I can speak for him to say, they broke boundaries back in them days of when they started. And, you had the controversy over Elvis, shaking the pelvis. In them days, if you remember, if anybody knows, or if anybody's been learning, of course, of history of music, you could not see a musician on TV from the waist down. And if to you young generation, if you're not interested in that stuff, that's what it was like back in the 30s up until the Doors did their thing on the Ed Sullivan Show. Now, of course, people that look up on the Doors and follow them like me, the controversy of that and what had happened. For the new people, that ain't interested, and if you do watch this, a little lesson learned. Now, if it wasn't for the Doors doing what they did on the Ed Sullivan Show, we would still be using, lyrics like the Ed Sullivan Show producer wanted, Jim and the Boys, the Doors, and I shouldn't even be saying any individual's name in the Doors, because Jim Morrison, if he was here right now, he'd say it too. It's not Jim Morrison and the Doors, it's the Doors. But, of course, they wanted them to change the word higher, excuse me, in the song to, girl, we can't get much better. And, of course, Jim went out on stage. The band had a little discussion about it, and Ray supposedly said, just like, I'm getting this off from the movie, The Doors, that came out like 1997, should check it out, but Ray said to Jim, it's just a word, man, we ain't gotta, the Rolling Stones changed when they're on Ed Sullivan. Another band of that time and era changed something and did it the way they said. And Jim looked at Ray and said, why don't you just change your name to Irvin Manzarek or some other name? You know, gonna give him a little bust in the balls. But, and this is my tribute to Ray, and a big salute to a legend of music. He might have came out and said that against Jim. Jim might have busted his balls. I'm sure they all did their own ball busting towards each other. But when Jim said higher, not only Ray, but the other two, Robbie and John, you know, they had their say in it. And Robbie said, which was his lyrics, it's just a word, man, I just want to play. And John, I guess, said in the movie, you know, whatever, man, you know, it's no big thing. But when Jim did that and said, girl, we couldn't get much higher, you know, they kept playing. You know, maybe other bands probably would have stopped and in shock, you know, and say, hey, you can't do that, man, we're gonna get in trouble. And I think, yeah, that the producer got all flipped out in the recording room. He'd never play on there again, and said what he had to say, but it went through. And just like anything else, it went through. And I think that changes TV to today. Watch these soap operas. You got soap operas calling people bitches and, oh, you dirty whore and slut. It's crazy what they say on regular TV. So when I was a kid, they never said that stuff, right? But eventually, you know, some things came out and were changed. And that was by the doors, I think. Personally, I think. If it wasn't for them doing that and not taking a risk, sabotaging, that's what that band did. They pushed limitations and got through and made the change. And another thing, to my huge respect to the Doors, and was another change, in quote, was, of course, Jim was the first man to ever get arrested at a rock show as a band member. And that there, let alone, pushed boundaries with other bands, I think, in my own opinion, that if he didn't do that, to push on the other side, and like Ray Manzarek said in an interview, they were always pushing over. They were always looking on the wall to see what they can do. And Jim was always there, and they were always behind him. Even though Jim fucked up a lot, up until, you know, the end. I mean, that they did get sick of it, but they always pushed it, and they always stuck behind him. And to me, that was a big, huge breakthrough in the music industry and history, of course. So you have one, some dirty words get on the TV. Two, bands like Ozzy, bands like Madonna doing her sex things, you know, crazy shows, and bands and people like that, and even Public Enemy or NWA to break boundaries. It would have never been done if it wasn't for the Doors in my eyes. And sometimes, yeah, Jim had that huge drinking problem, drug problem. And guess what? Ray Manzarek was always there to back him up, play the organ, and sing. So, I mean, this whole band had so much talent. I think they get underlooked of what they've done in history and in music. And it really just makes me, you know, mad that they got, you know, these modern day bands or these modern day rock bands and modern day hip hop, that a band gets in a studio and just makes that one song or that, yeah, one album, 2, 3 albums, and then fades away. Then one song stays on the charts. It's a song that has no lyrics, no meaning. And a band like this, to me, I see it as they've been pushed back into time and sat there, and people don't look into this. But me, this is a big honor, and I wish I could have met him. I mean, I wasn't alive when Jim passed away, of course. Died in 1971. I was born in 73. But if I was, in the past 6, 7 years, I've been watching the Doors go on without Jim. I was keeping up on the Cult, the band, the Cult. The singer, he jumped in with the Doors, and I was trying to find some way to get to him, get an autograph at some concert, but I never did, of course. And now he's gone, and it's a shame. I mean, there's, Jeff from Slayer dying from a goddamn spider bite to lung cancer. And it sucks. And, back in my day, like when Randy Rhoads passed away, or John Bonham, or, Dimebag. Well, I did have YouTube back then, but I didn't have access because of my, I would have done a video for him, but I did do something, actually. I wrote lyrics in a song. What am I talking about? And there was a song after that, but before, when the earlier people died, I didn't have this, and I didn't have this to put out and show my respects to legends that had a big, huge influence on me, especially where I write poetry. And the Doors is a band that, reflected on that kind of meaning towards lyrics, more or less poetry, and that's what I do. And that's what led me to have a real strong combination with this band of what I like to do. And Jim wanted to be a poet. I want to be a poet. I want to be a writer. I want to be something, of course, of this nature. And they had a big, huge influence, as did Jim have an influence on Edgar Allan Poe. So there's a combo there between me and this band, and I wish I could have met him. I hope someday, and big, huge wishing that John Densmore and Robbie Krieger can come around my way, some club, I don't know. I would love to get an autograph from you guys, because you guys are the biggest part of rock and roll history that bring two big, huge changes to the world for not only television, but music also, and allowed bands to do what they do on stage today that would have never been done if it wasn't for you, the Doors. So other than that, I will see you on the other side, Ray, with all my other metal heroes, rock heroes, everybody that's there waiting. I give you a big salute. I give the rest of the Doors a big salute. And YouTube, I give you all a big salute. So I have to go shed some tears on this. And I don't know, I think I'm going to, in tribute also, I might even do a poem of some sort with lyrics of a song for the Doors. I'm going to do that. And see you on the next video. Oh yeah, and also I'd like to mention, I do got some stuff coming up on other stuff that's been happening. All this Mother Nature stuff. And all this kidnapping and all these Amber Alerts that's been going on lately. I'm going to do a video soon on that. I'm getting it all bundled up and together. But other than that, YouTube, until the next video, out.